The metal didn't just groan, it screamed. When 40 miles per hour of runaway steel slammed into that dead-end gravel, the world, it just turned inside out. Gerald had moved his engine just enough to clear the line, thousands of tons of iron shifting, but the impact, it was still a jumbled mess of kinetic energy and bad luck. Our car jumped. The one behind us followed suit, folding like a cheap accordion in the dirt. Silence. Thick, dusty, and heavy. I couldn't see a thing. The air was a wall of choking white dust. It felt like someone had stepped on my chest and stayed there. "Cassidy?" I wheezed. My voice sounded small, like it belonged to someone else. "Cassidy, talk to me." A cough came from the mess to my left. I'm here," she rasped. I felt her hand fumble for my shoulder, tight and shaking. "Are you hurt? Thane, tell me you're okay." "I'm in one piece," I said, reaching up to steady her hand. "I think. Yeah. You?" "I'm alive. Everything just stopped." As the dust started to settle, thin streaks of gold and rose light poked through. The light hit the floating grit like tiny searchlights. It showed the disaster. The floor tilted at a sick angle. Walls crumbled and peeled back like a tin can. The light hit Cassidy. Her hair was a wild, static-charged halo. She took a shaky breath. "Thane, please tell me you've got a rubber band in your pocket. I can't meet the paramedics looking like I stuck my finger in a light socket." I let out a ragged laugh. "It's a look, Cass. Edgy." Outside, we could hear the muffled shouts. Banks Miller was calling the shots. They told us not to move. So we sat in that tilted, dark cocoon while the gold in the sky bled into a deep, midnight black. Time didn't just pass, it dragged. Hours that felt like a lifetime. "It was after 4:30 when we finally left the station," I muttered, staring at the shadows on the ceiling. "Seems like a different lifetime ago." "I know," Cassidy whispered. She didn't say anything else for a long time. The weight of the dark was pressing in on both of us. To keep the panic from swallowing us whole, we crawled into the wreckage of each other's lives. "Willow," she said, her voice cracking. "My golden retriever. I had to put her to sleep last November. The hardest part wasn't the vet's office. It was the weeks of lonely walks after. My hand would ghost reach for a leash that wasn't there. The silence in the house. It's louder than the crash." I leaned my head against a cold pipe. "I get the ghosts. I moved my mom into memory care 3 months ago. Alzheimer's. It's like a slow house fire, Cass. One Tuesday she looked right through me, total stranger, and asked when my father was coming home. He's been gone 10 years. It's like watching her evaporate, while she's sitting right in front of me." Cassidy reached out, her fingers brushing mine. We stayed there, suspended in the debris. Our voices dropped to low, rhythmic murmurs, trading the kinds of truths you only tell when you're pretty sure the world is ending. The conversation drifted deeper, our voices blurring into the background hum of the settling metal. The words softened until they were just a steady, comforting hum against the cold. The specifics faded into the shadows of the car, a private exchange meant only for us, while Banks Miller's saws whirred in the distance. Suddenly, the wreckage shifted. A support beam groaned and slid, pinning Cassidy's leg against the floorboards. I watched the color drain from her face. Her breathing turned into shallow, panicked stabs. I lunged forward, cupping her face in my hands. I forced her to look at me, blocking out the jagged metal and the shadows. "Look at me, Cassidy, right here. Don't look down," I commanded. "Name something you want to do as soon as we get out of here. Give me one thing." She surged forward, clutching my wrists, her eyes wide and wet. "I want to eat blueberry pie," she yelled, the sheer volume of it startling both of us. "A huge, messy slice of blueberry pie." The roar of the jaws of life finally cut through the side of the car, followed by a blinding flood of flashlights against the night sky. Banks Miller was the first face we saw, soot-stained and focused. Then came the chaos of triage, the smell of antiseptic, the snap of latex gloves, and the crushing cold of being separated as they loaded us into different ambulances. I found her after the hospital released us. It was that strange, quiet hour just before dawn. At a diner 3 blocks away, both of us in mismatched sweats and limping, still wearing those plastic hospital ID bracelets. 2 plates sat between us, smeared with telltale purple stains and flaky crust remnants. We talked until the sky outside the window turned from gray to a bright, clear blue. I looked at the pie, then at her as the morning light hit the table. I've spent a lot of my life waiting for the right time to say things, but sitting in that car, I kept thinking about how much I didn't want the night to end with us going our separate ways. I'd really like to see where this goes, Cassidy, if you're up for it. She smiled, tired but real. I'd really like that, Thane. We walked out of the diner just as the sun fully crested the horizon. The world looked brand new. A year has passed since that sunrise, and the church is full. In the front row sits Gerald, the engineer, looking handsome in a dark suit. Next to him is the conductor, and across the aisle sits Wilma. She isn't just the waitress from the diner anymore, she's become a close friend. She looks pretty in her bright yellow dress, dabbing at her eyes. Even Banks Miller is here, the man who pulled us from the iron grave. As Cassidy walks down the aisle, her hair is perfect, not a hair out of place. She looks radiant, absolutely beautiful. She finally reaches for my hands, and I know, we didn't just survive, we thrived.
Hi guys, sorry it has taken me so long to get this story finished and uploaded. I have been dealing with technical difficulties left and right. I swear if it could go wrong, it did. I've lost the story, I rewrote it, and it disappeared on me again. It has been a lesson in patience, that is for sure. But now the story is over. Thane and Cassidy have survived, they've thrived, and now they get to live happily ever after. So with Runaway Romance Part 2 behind us, please join me again next week for a new story, one with less technical difficulties. As always, please take care of yourself. God bless and bye.